There's
stay in
no
the center of the
problem.
frame,
Just go
okay,
ahead, do
so-
it.
And the whole thing is just to talk to me. You and I are going to have a conversation.
Okay.
That's the basics. On the TV, switch it back to A. And you'll get it just through the amp now. Okay? If you want to get rolling. We're rolling? Good. Okay. Remember to turn the intercom off when you're not talking. Okay. All right, Jake, let's start with something very easy, and it probably should be a
Okay.
pleasant memory. Why don't you tell me, first of all, where you're born?
Born Zavierche. I give you a funny thing. I brought my birth certificate with me.
Oh, great.
You know, so it's going to be easier for you to tell me. Let me tell you something right in here. I said I better take my birth certificate, write it down. Can you read it?
Yes, I
One
can.
is in German and one, I mean, from.
Terrific. 1949.
No, I came to this country in 1949,
Yeah.
but I was born in 1926.
1926. What do you remember about the town you grew up in? And
Well,
first memories.
first memories is we had a big family. My grandmother had 18 kids, was about 170 great-grandchildren and grandchildren, and we was a very large family in home. We had a few cattle and the cattle business, and my father had the height for the cattle factory, and it was not bad off really, but it was tough. And when I was a kid, I was sick on pneumonia both sides, and very tough. It was tough living over there, and since I was a baby, really, when I went to school when I was 8 years old, because I got sick on ice skating, and I got very sick. And I had 5 sisters, and at in 19, we want to start it from when I was a little boy.
Sure,
I
yeah,
mean,
when you were a little boy, that's where we're right now.
and I used to love cattle, and used to go with my father buying cattle when I was a little boy, and I was the only one son, so he really spoiled the rotten out of me. And it was a very normal, nice life, but it was tough too. But to live in Poland was really tough.
Mhm.
I went to school, and they always comes to the Jews was tough.
Mhm.
Always called me a damn Jew and everything else, threw stones when I went home, and it was really not an easy life in Poland. In 1939, the Germans come in to Poland, and then really start the really stuff.
Okay, I'll tell you, we'll get into that in a minute. I want to ask you a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
As a boy, do you remember, and this will be your personal impression,
Yes.
do you remember anti-Semitism? Was that something you were aware of?
We lived with it.
How
this-
so? Give me some examples of what would...
Well, when I went to school, when I see the Jewish kids that threw stones, really, there was, anywhere you went, just said you goddamn Jew, simple as that. You lived with it, but it was, when you fight the kids, there you really got problems, so you was afraid to fight with them. And this was what's going on and going on this all the time.
How did that make you feel as a young boy? Seeing this?
It's not such thing as feeling. You try to feel like to kill him, but you can do nothing about it, You didn't want, you was afraid for your family should not, they get advantage of my family, so when I would hurt them, they come and burn the house and everything else. So we stayed cool and just forget about it.
Was it difficult?
Just go home and just plenty times they hurt kids with stones and hit them over the head and everything. Yeah, you couldn't do nothing about it.
Was there a sense of feeling helpless about the whole thing?
Always was because you were scared of your family, was just like a sense of scared really, not to start with them. For a lot of kids was really nothing but a bunch of hoodlums, and they learned from their family, to hate the Jews, and this was the deal.
How about in school? Now, I know a lot of people told me they went to a separate school.
No, we really went to separate school too in Poland, but you had to pass by the streets where the Polish people live, most of them, really, and really the kids, like every day, every night, afternoon, went from school home, they threw you stones and called you, beat you up, or anything they want to do, and you couldn't do nothing about it.
Tell me about what the Jewish community was like at that time.
Well, the Jewish community in Poland, you know, they had their own synagogues, and you know, was not bad. You live most of in a Jewish community. You know, they didn't want to come in. They only could, you know, when they used to go to outside skirts, the outskirts, that was dangerous. You know, there was really danger. But inside the city, they were scared to come in, but was Jews around.
Mm-hmm. Was there a sense of security?
No security. It's not such a thing as a sense of security in Poland. There was hating the Jews for a long time. For no, you know, the Polish people hate the Jews as much as the Germans almost. It's just so was really tough. Anything happened, then I had you know, like a recession was or something. It was what do you call it? Really not a depression most of the time. So they hate the Jews for it. And anything happened, they hated Jews. Most of them, you were scared and pass over. They said they take the kids and slaughter them for blood, for sacrifice them, and this what they have the just way they started. They took their own some blood and soaked it in something. They said the Jews killed it. They killed their own kids. So that was really tough.
You know, I know when I was young and I didn't understand something, I'd always ask my father. And he always had some kind of explanation. And at this time, you know, I'm sure you would ask your mom or your dad at that time, what's going on?
No, we know that, you know, I've never asked much question personally because as young as I was, I had, say, sense that I was helpless, very helpless. My father was a strong man and really, he could have killed somebody, but he was scared for the family the same way. And it was really, he always was helpless. Any way you done, he was helpless. Let's see, how could you do? You live around and so many people, met Polish people, and you don't trust them. Anything they know, they feel like to kill you for no reason for it. Just they was thinking this is, when they would have no Jews, they would have everything. And they show it right now. They're wrong, but you couldn't persuade them at all.
Mm-hmm.
So this is already going from, you know, from the pogroms and everything else, from years and years, you know, really, and you couldn't help nothing about it, really.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely not.
Okay. How old were you when you first saw the Nazis come in?
Okay, I was 1939, September 1939, when they come in. What was I, 13 years old.
Mm-hmm. So you probably have a pretty good memory of what that
Yes,
was.
yes,
Why don't you
yes.
tell me about the first day?
The first day, yes, we lived in Zawiercie over there, but we was thinking about 20 miles, they just go take the border. We lived close to German border, so we was thinking they would take 20 miles and they never take the other cities. So we walked to my grandmother lived in another city, and we met a lot of cousins from different cities. We stayed over there, slept on the floor. Never forget the coming on the motorcycles and the helms. And the first day, they really were just in shock. Simple as that. They took it over. They took Poland over in 24 hours, and it was just in shock. We never think about doing, you know. So it's about 15 kilometers, about 20 miles from the city. So we went back home. And so then every day start this and the Jews and you know, we had Hitler talking and everything else in 1939. And
tell me about the first time you heard Hitler talk. Did you hear him on the radio?
we had on the radio. On the radio. All he said, the Jews, to kill the Jews, and we got to have a clean race, you know, and to clean up he killed a lot of Polish people, and he wanted to have a clean area, you know, and that's what he wanted to have. So I saw it personally, you know, as a kid. I saw it as tough, but I couldn't say to my family, you know, I wanted they should leave, but they couldn't. They had no money and nothing. They couldn't know where to go. We didn't have no relatives nowhere in the world, so we really had to stick with it. And so, just was going on for 3, 4, 5 months to 1940. Start to get some Jews couldn't live in certain streets. They didn't put a ghetto into 1941. So they put a ghetto in 1941, and I never forgot that. And there was no food, and all of a sudden people start to really.
Let's take those 2 years apart. So in 1939, the Germans came in. Obviously, you knew something was up.
Yeah, sure.
Tell me about the period from 1939 till. Now, you actually were taken to a ghetto.
Not yet, to 1941.
41,
Not taken. The ghetto was right where we was living.
Right around you?
What's that?
It was built right around you?
Yeah, that was built right around us, but we was living right where the majority of Jews was living.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Tell me about the period from when the Nazis first got into your town up to the ghetto. We're going to talk about the ghetto as a separate thing.
Okay.
What was starting? Tell me about the changes that were starting to take
The
place.
changes start, they took the Jews and they used to wear beard, they cut them off in the streets and they beat them up, and they start brand the synagogues, and we saw it was really rough, and the Jews couldn't go in this street, couldn't go this street, and all of a sudden a lot of Jews didn't have enough food really, and they caught typhus. And when they caught typhus, all they done, took him to the hospital, and they never got back. And some of them got back, but most of them didn't get back for the brand them up. And I really don't know exactly what's happened then.
Mm-hmm.
When they.
Let me stop you 1 sec, Don. Stop tape 1 sec. Yeah, just hold tape for a sec. You can let the code run. Sorry about that.
That's much trouble.
It's just bunching up here. There you go. Okay. How's that? Yeah. I think so. You're comfortable, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm
Good.
comfortable.
That's the whole thing.
Yeah.
All right, rolling. We rolling? I'm not hearing you. Let me know when we're rolling. Let me know when we're rolling. I can't hear you. Thank you. Okay. I want to make sure we get it on tape.
Yeah, that's okay.
Although I'd love to sit and talk to you all day.
Yeah,
we
that's
do want to
okay.
get it on tape.
Yeah.
Okay, so we were basically at the point talking about the time in between when the Germans occupied and getting to the ghetto. We were talking about the changes that were going on. Now, one thing I'd be curious to know, at this point, were they starting to kill Jews in your town?
Yeah, well, yes,
I mean, you talked
yes.
about them catching disease, catching
Yeah,
typhus,
yeah.
things like that.
Yes.
How about blatant acts of violence? Did you witness anything
Yes,
like that?
yes. I saw they took the Jews around with the beards and cut them up with scissors and beat them up and shoot them right in the street. Anybody with a beard, they shot them down, and really you couldn't wear no beard afterwards. But the most of religious Jews, their beard was just to the religious thinking. It was really tough. They never wanted to cut the beards off. They wanted to wear them, and they just really round them up down in the market, and just like a gallery show, and show them and cut the beards off and shut them down like nothing. And I witnessed a lot of stuff. Every week happens the same thing, or every day, it felt quite a while. Most of them, the worst of them, he wanted to hurt the Orthodox Jews, and it really hurt them very bad, It's, you could see it every day happen, and it was tough,
As a young young boy. I mean, you're probably in 13, 14, 15.
Right,
What are you
right.
thinking when you see somebody killed in the street
Right.
just for being
Well,
a
you
kid?
couldn't do nothing about it. Absolutely, you know, you could, you know, but first thing I was personally, I really, you wanted to kill him, but you couldn't do it. You know, you feel like you're helpless again. You people, you got the Gestapo around on your head, the SS with dogs. You're lucky. You all, you know, a person. I don't care. Is selfish. He thinks looking just for survival. You understand? And a kid, you know, and me personally, I said I'm gonna live him over. I go see he's dead. Hitler's dead. Day by day. This is what I was preaching to myself. I don't know why. And I said I'm gonna survive. Later on, I tell you how it's happened. And worst thing, later on, you know, I was worried about my sisters, you know, not by myself and my family, my father and mother, you know. I see what's happened, but I told him to hide and to run away. I said, don't worry about me. And they was worrying, everybody was worrying about me because I was the youngest one, and I cannot say. And I was really backwards most of the time because, you know, I was a kid, spoiled, rotten, and never worried about nothing, really. I was really not backwards, but I really didn't worry about much of it. I had my father and mother always protect me, and I said, first thing I was laying before how I go survive without my family, I said, it don't make any difference to me. Really, my mind was just not even thinking, just go like an animal. You was just not an animal. Today you live, and 5 minutes later you die. This person, as simple as that. You were just running around like a little wild animal. And it was tough.
At this time, I guess we're somewhere, we're like at 1940, I guess, early
Right,
1941.
right.
You're still with your family? Your family is still
Yes,
together?
yes. Yeah, I was with my family till 1943. Till we went in the ghetto. I was with my family. And you want me to tell you what's happened?
Let's talk, okay, I think right now, why don't you tell me about the development of the ghetto? And what
Okay,
it meant, you know,
what's
what it
happened? One day we got up and they said the Jews can only live in the ghetto. The ghetto was really 3 blocks or 4 blocks around. The Jews can only live around over there. Was no food. That was really start the whole thing, you know. And funny thing, I was a kid. I run over to the Aryan place, to the other side, to the Polish people, and I used to know a couple of guys over there, and I used to bring potatoes home and stuff like that. I went over the wall. When they catch me, they would shoot me. And really, my father was already not a young man anymore, and I saw one day. Now let me tell you before the ghetto was happening.
Sure.
My father, they accused 11 of butchers that would black market. My father never killed any cattle. They just took him out, 11 of them, and took him to jail for no reason for. They just took him in jail. My father was in jail before the ghetto for 11 months because they said they black market cattle. My father never killed any cattle in the stable. My father bought me a white-faced heifer, you know, to raise him, you know, and the worst thing ever happened to a kid, the Germans come in and they took the cattle out, and I saw my white heifer, they shot him right in the street. They just shoot the cattle out, you know, but this one they shoot, a young little heifer didn't want to go out from the stable, and they shot him right over there. And that was a heartbreaking thing, right, you know, just for a kid. But I don't see how strong enough I was, or I was crying, and I remember that. That's all you could do. There's so many things happen, you know, it's really, and that was right away a disaster for me, but couldn't do nothing. So I'm jumping from one to another. But I remember this is the most piece of art I did in my life to survive. I couldn't believe it. It was fish in our yard over there, the ponds, and the Jewish people used to deal with carp, for the holidays or for the work sell cops. So they had, in the river over there, we had a little river passing by, they had boxes. So the Germans took this right away from them. And me and another friend was playing over there. And this I never forget. I sleep with it, I live with it. How I survived, I don't know. So we was playing over there with little cubs fish to play around in the river like we always do since we were little babies. So the Gestapo said we tried to steal the fish, so they shot after us. And I went in the house, and we have a closet, one big closet and one small closet. And I jumped over the closet and hid. The Gestapo with the dogs come in, and they said, "Boy, is that fella run away?" And my father said, "We don't have nobody like this." And I couldn't believe it. What I did, I was about, 10, 13, 14 years old, and they shot after me with machine guns. And the other friend didn't hit either. The other friend went somewhere else, and I always had my father said, "We don't have nobody." He said, "When you don't give them, we go shoot you all." But they said, "We don't see nobody." And I could surprise the dog didn't smell me or something like that. That would just, this lays in my mind all the time. I really, is incredible. This was in the right beginning from the ghetto, and this lays me in my mind all my life. How I could have been killed right there. I think be good or bad, but really, I really looked like somebody was watching over me. Anything I'd done, like somebody was watching over me. And so we never went down to the river anymore, the kids, but I was scared to go out for it. The Gestapo was having, he took care of the fish over there, was to watch over them. They should nobody steal them or do anything. I mean, they used to keep fish for themselves. And this is the first step, what's happened over there, very bad. Not very bad, it was every day, but my survival. I was laying in bed with my mother, and my mother said to me, "Do me a favor, wherever you go, just be honest, and you get away a long way, you get long go." I said, no, I was listening to her. I was a kid staying with her in bed, and this was already, I didn't know, every day was the end, but you don't know when it's going to end. You live every day with your end, and this was really tough. Tough. I tell you honest, it's true. I don't know how we survived, and I don't know how, but I tell you, authorities, you cannot believe it. It's incredible. So I used to, this was in, they closed in and said all the Jews to be in the ghetto. So in 1942, I go jump over a little bit. My sister was, we had 5 sisters. One of them was hiding, and they took her out. She was just hiding in the basement. They said the Jews, they go take all the Jews. They should be, the kids should go to work. So she was hiding in the basement. They took her out. The dog found her and took her out, and they shot her right in home. My youngest sister. Yeah. Not in the house. They took out over there a couple blocks away in a room over there. They kept her about for a day. They shot her. I found out this was absolutely the youngest one, a beautiful little girl. And they shot her.
What was her name?
Barbara Bloomer. Barbara. And this was the really incredible. All of us in shock. My father, my mother, they didn't want to live anymore. It's already, so what's happened?
When they took her out, did you know what was going to happen?
We really didn't know. We were thinking they were staying at a camp to work. I went over there to look at her, and she told me, she said, "Well, I'm now innocent. I never done anything wrong in my life, and I'm here." She was a beautiful little educated, very more educated than the other ones, really, because she went to Hebrew and went to college already. Really smart little girl, beautiful little girl, and they took her and just killed her. So there was a really tough situation over there. You couldn't do nothing about my father and mother, and I said, who is next? As simple as that. This is what I was thinking. But thinking by myself, I never wanted to mention to my mother and father. But I said, they're going in pieces already, and this what's happened. And
How much longer were you in the ghetto after that?
okay, we was to 1943.
And that happened
In 1942, you know,
42.
yeah.
Okay.
In 1943, this, you want to, the ghetto, what's happened, how they took the Jews around?
I think at this point, probably, you tell me, I think they're starting to round people up.
Okay, they rounded people up.
Tell me about the first roundup you saw.
Okay, the first roundup,
Mhm.
they said all the Juden, they took us in a big lot. And they said all the Jews around, you know, and they took in the German, the older people, the dogs was around, that was biting them and killing them and everything else. That was really just like the horror movies you see now is nothing. The people was crying, the kids was crying, mommy help me and things, and it was absolutely disaster. This was 8 o'clock in the morning. So we come over there, and I stayed with my family, and I had a friend of mine. I used to go to school with him, and he stick with me, and I stick with him as friends, you know. And all of a sudden, the Gestapo come to me and push me in the train, me and him, and I left my family behind. I couldn't go back. First thing, to be honest with you, I think I didn't want to go back. I didn't want to know what's going to happen to them because I don't know. Just somebody told me, just push me in the thing. But I really didn't want to go see what's going to happen to my mother and father and my sisters. Really, I was so close. You know, I really didn't want to know what's going to happen to them. I see nothing good can happen, but bad. I said I really didn't want to do that. And they pushed us in the train. We come into Birkenau, to Auschwitz. We come into Auschwitz. They said, you know, left, right, you know. So.
Let me back you up here. You've traveled, and I want to ask you a question.
Yeah,
before
go
we
ahead.
start
Yeah.
now. You were separated from your family then.
Right.
Did you ever see them again?
No.
That was the last time you
That's
saw
the
them?
last time I saw him. Okay, I tell you about it, what's happened, because so they never saw him again. You can ask me what I tell you, but I got what's happened, I have relatives, they went with the second train, they survived. So I'm going to tell you what's happened. That took me into Birkenau, and so, what's his name, was over the Eichmann, and the rest Gestapo, and said left, right. So he come to me, he said, how old I am? I told him I'm 18 years old, I was 14, and my friend asked, he said, at 14, I see they send him to the children. I pulled him, come with me. So I see the Gestapo try to look at me too. And I wear a long overcoat. I should look older, you know, and I was little anyway. And I went with the people, with the younger people. And they took him right to the gas chamber with the kids. And I went with the other side to work. I come into Birkenau. This is Auschwitz and Birkenau was one camp, you know. It's a different barracks, you know. I come over there, I said, well, I'm not going to survive in here. I said, definitely not. But I stayed over there. Next day, they sent my cousins. I met my cousins. And they said they took my father and mother and just my father and my mother to the gas chamber. And I did, you know, it was very tough. And he said, my sisters, they took in the barracks. And I found out later they took the whole barrack and burned them alive. They put a fire and they burned the whole barrack alive. And I had 4 sisters over there. And I had 5, but one of them, you know, the young one died in home. I mean, they killed her in home. I had 5 more sisters and they burned them alive. So was
What you're saying is in the matter of 2 days, your mother, father, and 4 sisters were
a mother, a day and a half, 2 days, right. And I come in and I was laying in a Birkenau, you know, and my cousin said, don't worry, just keep on going yourself. But then I had to be, I said, gosh, I got no mother and father. I got to be willing to take care of myself. I didn't know my sisters died, and you know, yet. And I said, I maybe have to survive to take care of them. And I was start to become a man then. And we was laying in Birkenau, 5 of us or 6 of us in the what I call it, in the bunk beds, you know, and one of them died. I took his bread out, you know, and he ate it. And I was young, just thinking to survive.
While we're here, tell me about the conditions, the living conditions there at Birkenau.
Birkenau.
Describe for me like where you slept and what you ate, if anything.
They give us, now this is what I'm at, they give us a piece of bread in the morning, this piece, and a cup of hot water from the leaves. I don't know what kind of stuff they give us. You had to go to the bathroom a whole day, you drink this stuff. And you stay, this was just not a, they didn't want you to survive, they want you to die or do something, I don't know. So I was short, and I always took long pants. We had no shoes, nothing but barefooted. First thing when we come in, they give us the undress, take out, and I saw the people taking their goat teeth out and alive and dead, anything they think. But I come in, they give us a bed and let us run from one barrack to another about 2 miles in snow, all nude, no clothes on, nothing, but nude in snow, freezing. I don't know, really. I was very sick kid at home, but I got healthy there. And they give us some uniform, so I always took me long pants. I should cover my feet in the bottom. That took us in the morning to stay from 6 o'clock in the morning to 7 o'clock in the evening outside in the snow. They call appel, you know, what I call it, to count us.
A roll call?
Yeah. And I stayed over there for 2 weeks, and I said, this life is not for me. Oh, I'd rather die than staying here. This is what I survived, and I said, my cousins come. I was in the 7th barrack, and I saw they sent a lot of people away in the 3rd barrack, and I said, let me go over there in the 3rd barrack. I mean, I didn't supposed to do it, but I did, and they took me away to a different camp. To Teigen. You heard Breslau? Did you hear about Breslau? There was about a crop factory over there, and they had to work in crop factory. Was 530 boys moved from Birkenau. So we was building new barracks, new plan to bring in more people from civil camp to the concentration camp. And 4 weeks later, only 30 left of us. I weighed about 68 pounds or something like that, that's right. So a lieutenant come to me, he said, what kind of work did you do in home? I said, well, I was a butcher, a Metzger. I speak a little German, but Jewish and German, I was the same, and he took me and he said, come over here, I'll give you a new uniform. Never told me what he gonna do with me. And I found out he picked 5 young kids. I was young. And I come in and they had what I call the army, what I cooked for the army stuff, what I call it,
Mess hall?
Yeah, mess hall, but not a little mess hall, but I had the big thing to try out for the SS to cook. I didn't know what I got to do, so he told me 2 bucket potatoes I was cooking over there in it, and I weighed 68 pounds. I was so hungry, I ate a whole bucket potato. My stomach looked like, you ever see that South African kids? This is where I looked. This skinny and a stomach like that. So the lieutenant come in, he said to me, you go kill yourself. Don't eat now, you go have plenty of food in here. Don't worry about it. A nice lieutenant, one of them. He said, don't eat, you go die. My stomach was long, but I took 2 bucket potatoes and I threw out to the boys. That could have killed me then. And I threw it out to a couple of friends of mine I had still left in Auschwitz, but they caught TB right away. They could, and I cooked carrots for them, and they couldn't survive no more. That was the first step. I went in. I was lucky. It looked like somebody just staying behind me, what to say, really. And they took us, and we was working in the kitchen. That's what I really survived this way. And they brought more barracks and more people from other camps, but we never went in to stay in that pell, but it was winter time, snowing outside, and I saw my friends dying out like flies. They brought in 3,000 in the camp, 2,000 died right away. It just from the cold weather and from internet food, and they just, anybody looked like them, they put him right, they had no gas chamber over there, they shot him right in the head. Anybody couldn't get up in the morning or anything, they shot him. There's day after day for 2 years. Every day. And I had about 10 cousins come in from the other camps, so one of them come in, they had holes in his back just like this. He already had gangrene and stuff like that, but I don't know how, but I used to bring him the food home, and what I used to get in camp, I'd give him the food too. And every day, we was like about half a block, about a couple, I could see the camp inside when we was outside. Every day just killing them like animals. Just anybody couldn't get up, shot them in the temple, right in the temple. And we didn't know what's going to happen. Every day we looked like they took us out and they go shoot us, but they kept us over a year in this camp. And this why we started to get a little more meat on ourselves. Every one of them from 60 pounds, we started to weigh 130 pounds. Didn't took us too long, about 6 months. But every day you live in the things makes you going, and they go kill you. And we work hard, 12 hours a day, but the work didn't mean nothing so long you had plenty of food. Food was the thing. When we got in the evening in Bragg, the capo used to beat them up, kill the kids like hell. Every day you have you live with every minute with something else. When the Germans didn't kill, the capo killed you. Somebody had on you, to something, but was really, you live until every day and every day. You had Jewish capos and Polish capos, and they're the worst son of a guns in the world. They had a little respect for me because I was working outside the kitchen, but inside, you couldn't tell him anything. They give him, I saw something, like gave him 25 on his backside, people, I don't know how to survive. They really didn't survive long, but this what's happened, just day after day.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Answer me a question. You just said you work a 12-hour day.
Yeah.
With only like a piece of bread and hot water.
No, yeah.
That was in the other camp.
Not a camp, yes.
Now, obviously, under really extreme conditions, you're working all day long. You're fearing for your life because you're seeing people killed all around you. When you would finally lay down at night, what would go through your mind? What would you think about?
Well, all I wanted in my mind, I want to survive and kill about 1,000 Germans, or kill about 1 million Germans, or 10 million. All in mind, just to kill. Just to really kill. I could have been a killer as anything in the world. I could, and I would, but I tell you later what's happened.
Okay. I want to go back one more time, too. You keep coming back to the first time you got off the train in Birkenau.
Yeah.
Tell me about some of the first things you saw. I mean, obviously you had the lineup. What about some other things you saw? Just even buildings, colors, the weather.
Well. The question is, the weather was just raining, just like the people. People crying, kids crying, and absolutely very cloudy. And they took the dogs around and it's incredible. They saw the kids hollering at left and right, and like I told you, the little kids and the older people that took one place, and this and the other side. But in Birkenau, I saw over there when I was laying, every day, 24 hours, you had kids hollering and screaming from the truckloads was going in the gas chamber. They didn't really know. I believe that, I mean, I heard what I saw lights films, I didn't see before. All I saw was the chimney burning. But what I saw on films in here, I saw they give them some soap, and we was not know what happened over there, how they go in the gas chamber. So we was living about a block or two away. All you see the smog and the smoke from what's going on over there. We went over as a gas chamber. They're taking older people in when they're dying, but we didn't really know what's really happened. I didn't, and they just put them right, and we saw truckloads open, like animals. You see pigs, and you take them to the slaughterhouse. This way they took our people, really. And I was laying right on the barrack, and you don't think, you don't have no mind to think, really. Definitely you don't think, but you look for survival, you're hungry. You really look for survival, because I wanted to survive, to kill, and when they would give me a machine gun, then I could get one, I would do it. And
did you ever see any of the crematorium?
I did, but we didn't go in. We saw it, it's about a block away. We saw the gas chamber, but we never went close to it.
Did you start to get an idea of what was going on?
Oh, sure, we had a little idea, you said they're killing the people, they had to put them somewhere. They put them in a gas chamber. We know that. We wasn't really, but we saw them kids nude and the older people like animals, day after day for 24 hours, truckloads, so you know what's happened, but you don't want to believe in your mind it's going to happen to you. You really wanted to fight. I was a fighter, really. Somebody give me some strength, I don't know how, but I said I want to survive just to see what's going to happen to them.
Other people I've talked to have said that one thing they really remember when they first come to the camps is seeing, and this isn't in every camp, I don't know if it's true for you.
Birkenau was the worst.
Right, where there were just piles of bodies.
Oh yeah, this lady, when you was over there, they had him about 3 feet tall laying, bodies laying down just like hern. Sure, you saw that. You saw every day, every minute laying over there. I don't know why they kept him when they put him in a gas chamber, but it was bodies like that high. They kill about 10 million people in this camp. This was the worst. And I worked a couple of days over there, before I left. They tell you, take the stones this way and put them in here, and take them stones, put them from here to here. They didn't want you to work. I really they could have killed every one of them one time, gas them out and forget about it, but it just absolutely was just torture. It was really, we're better off to die right away if you have living like this, I can tell you this much. But more, we was living in hell, simple as that.
There were lots of ways that at the different camps they give you numbers. And some people
They give me a number.
Did you get them all?
Yeah, Birkenau. Yeah, I got it, man. Yeah, 139,967.
Can you hold that up so we can see it? What was your number?
139,967.
What does that mean to you today?
Well, I don't want to think about it. I really do not. I don't want to think about it. I think about my family a lot, by my sister, most of it, by my little sister. That's what I dream about it. The first time when I came over here, when I slept in the nighttime, I could rinse my clothes out. I was sweating and just absolutely. I couldn't dream just every day. After the camp, well, I don't want to go too far. After the camp, a lot of them went crazy, of my friends, really, that couldn't take the freedom, and they couldn't take what they lost their families, And I was really 19, well, I tried to not jump too far for you, and 1945 was the worst of all, when they moved us from one camp to another, and we marched. This was the time, the last 3 months was the worst 3 months ever. They killed more people than we ever. We marched 4,000 of us from Teichen to Gross-Rosen. Anybody couldn't walk, they just put a gun and killed them and put them in a wagon and put them away. And we stayed overnight in a barrack, where the barrack from the cattle feed over there, and the Gestapo was shooting in. And I had 2 friends, each one, I don't know how I survived, nothing happened to me. They killed him, knocked his feet off, and nothing happened to me. I asked God, something is wrong. I said, he should have killed me too. I said, I want to go. I had some friends, I stick with them, with friends that really liked me. But, you know, I helped as much as I could, but I was in the kitchen. And this was absolutely most terrible, that they shoot the barracks and anyone was dead. So we marched. Anybody couldn't walk. They took a gun, put him in his head, put him in a wagon. This is like that for about 130 kilometers, 150 miles. We walked because the Germans, then the Russians come on one side and the Americans on the other side. So they put us in, we marched from Gross-Rosen. We only stayed overnight, but later they put us in the train and for 2 weeks with no food but a piece of cheese and a piece of bread. They sent us from Gross-Rosen to Flossenburg. They locked us in the train for 2 weeks, but the Russians come on one side, the American, so they give us a piece of bread just like this and a piece of cheese, no water. So I tried, it was snowing, I never forget it, I tried to get a little snow to shoot with a machine gun. I cut my hand in right away. They shot, you know, and I survived because I saw dead people. I took the bread out and ate the bread just to survive. And the shoes they wear, I took them off. It was no big deal. Just laying like that, and for 2 weeks to be locked in. Anybody died, they put them out and locked the train again.
A lot of people died?
A lot of people, sure. From 4,030, about 50 of us left. That's right. They took us out to Flossenburg. Took us to Flossenburg. They took us going over the same thing. Take a shower, take the stuff. They had no more goat teeth. Let us in snow, walking around and running staying from in the morning to the evening. I didn't stay too long over there, about 2 weeks or 10 days, I can remember exactly. And they sent us again to a different camp, to Poking. This was my last destination, is Poking. And then I stayed over there, and the lieutenant come to me and said, what kind of work did you do? I said, I was a cook, so they put me in the kitchen. So I stayed about 2 weeks, and I took a bucket of potatoes, and with some Greek boys, I used to know them from camp, and I threw them to them. So one lieutenant, they could have killed me. I never was afraid for nothing. They could have really hung me for it. So, but I fed him, and the lieutenant said, you cannot work more in the kitchen. I said, I'm glad of it, to be honest. I wanted to be outside if I see something is going on. So for about a month, they give me to take the food to build airfields over there. So I took the food every day about 11 o'clock for the people working over there, so I eat everything I wanted and been outside free. But every day, 12:30, the British come in and bomb. I mean, there was bombing every day the same. There was no airstrip, there was bombing, but they shot down a couple of them I saw. But the bullets was big as that, falling right by our feet. We was not scared, we were so glad to get killed, really. We wanted to get really killed. The Gestapo with the dogs watching us, but they was hiding. But we wanted to die personally, really. Every day, you know, life was not interesting. You have nobody, but I wanted just to survive, to kill 10 of them, 20 of them, 100 of them, 1 million, but.
So you wanted revenge?
What's that? Revenge. It's revenge. This is what I live for, really. I had to do it, but the worst thing ever happened. We caught typhoid. Really, the day after the war, but I caught typhoid. And I went to the hospital. And I never forget, I hit a nurse. I didn't kill her. She never go get up. She told her I had fever. And they put me over there in the hospital. I was so mad, even in my mind, I can't kill nobody. They put me in the hospital right away. And I wanted, after I got out, you couldn't do it. The American Army said, no, it's such a thing. It's killing anybody, you know. So I done a lot of stupid things, really, because I had fever and I didn't want to stay in the hospital. I walked out with fever from the hospital. It was the stupid thing, but it's the mind. And I walked of about 5 miles with fever. Can you imagine that? After all this thing, I went into a farm and I said, I want to stay here. And they was against it. And I said, listen, you let me stay here and I'm going to not kill you and don't harm you, but just don't tell nobody I'm here. If not, they would take me back to the hospital. It was really, my mind was almost gone. And later I really felt bad. I started to feel bad. Everything come back and everything else, and it was really tough.
So you were in 5 different camps?
I was Birkenau, Großhausen, Flossenburg, Fünftaichenpocking, 5 different camps.
And you would say, out of those, which was the worst?
Well, the worst was Birkenau. And in Flossenburg, they was the same.
I want you to think real hard for a minute. I know that you saw lots of things. And it's
Yeah,
difficult
that's right.
to pick one
We
thing.
just taken.
But if you had to, if somebody had asked you this question and said, just tell me one thing you saw that was the most horrible thing I ever saw the Germans do to the Jews within one of those camps, what would it be?
It's Birkenau, and they put them in the gas chamber. And what they've done is, anybody couldn't, so many things really. In the nighttime, I had a friend of mine, had to go to the bathroom. He had to walk about 6 blocks. In the nighttime, nobody's supposed to be outside. They shoot him down, shot him down right on the ground. You couldn't go to the bathroom. You make him bad, they kill you. Anything you done was no good. This was a really tough thing to see. A friend of mine went down. He had to go to. They would kill him. The copper would kill him in the barrack, but when he had to go to the bathroom, they shot him. There's nowhere to. Either way you done was wrong. This was wrong, but my sister was the worst thing. What I really saw what's happened. And my family, I found out they took the barracks, and my sister they killed is, you know, it's everything. It's not one thing. It's so many things. It's unbelievable.
When you were in Birkenau / Auschwitz,
Right.
were you aware of any medical experiments going on?
No, I didn't stay long enough to find out. Really not.
How about escapes? Were you aware, any of the camps you were at? Did you ever, first of all, think about it this way? Did you ever try to escape?
No, personally not. I saw friends of mine tried to escape. They killed them right by the electric wire, hanging down. I said, I have to survive a different way. This way, I go out. I don't got where to hide. Where can you hide? There's nowhere to go anywhere. For the Germans go find you outside, you know. And I said, I never go try. I have to survive in camp. I said, I have to do what I got to do the best. And simple as somebody give me sense. I don't know how. You had to have God stay behind you to watch over you when you believe in God. And this is another question, believe in God, you know. And a lot of friends of mine that said there's no God around. It was really. I didn't want to believe in anything, you know. I just but a lot of people I saw going crazy even afterwards, and this was bad too. This was really bad. I had a friend of mine, strong, handsome-looking guy, tall, about 6 feet tall, and just went off in his mind. And another of them couldn't survive after the concentration camp. I saw it in the camps. Was tough.
While you were in the camps, with all this going on, being done to you and your fellow men, did you ever regret being Jewish?
Yes. As a kid, I said, Well, I was wanted to, when I saw the birds flying by, I said, why the heck I was not born to be a bird? But really, I regret to be to be honest with you, yes. Plenty of time I wish I would never been born. Really, you're exactly right. It's really true.
How about now?
Oh no, well listen, I really, I have to survive for my family. Tell them I'm really not. Now is, I believe, God beheed something ever happened. First thing I kill. First thing I would get a machine gun or something like that. I would be a killer. I would be the best killer in the world, really. Really, I'm really could have been a gangster, a crook, or a killer like nothing. Kids were growing up in that situation. I have some friends in Israel, and we went. I want to tell you a little story. After the war, it was winter time, and we passed by the street, and a fellow, a German, opened his mouth. He said, "You damn Jews! You walking the whole street." He took a knife, just cut his neck off. I run away because I was about 4 more miles to come to this country. They would catch me. They took me to the police and checked me, but they couldn't recognize me. But I didn't do it really. I didn't want to do it. I said hell with him. But that friend of mine just cut his neck. I don't know what's happened, to be honest with you. They couldn't the minute they couldn't recognize me, the police let me go.
Don, how we doing on tape? Do you want to go ahead and switch over? Yeah, okay. We're going to take a short break, okay?
Oh, that's okay.
You want to switch over? Okay. We need to switch a tape over, too.
No, that's okay.
We have hour-long tapes. We just talked for an hour today.
Yeah,
I might pick out and just have you expand on it a little bit.
yeah, go ahead. Go ahead. You ask me because I just went over with, just the main things.
I'd like to explore something you said, which is really interesting, and maybe you can just talk about this. I'm going to make a statement.
Yeah,
Just
go
tell me
ahead.
what you think.
Go ahead.
Revenge kept me going.
Exactly. All I was thinking day after day, when I ever get out in here, I want to kill. I want to kill every one of them I see, innocent, not innocent, kids or big one. All of them was guilty. It was none of them. Everybody went out and said they're not guilty, but nowhere in the world they should know what was going on in each city. They took the Jews out in each city, and they said they're not guilty, but it's really, I really didn't want to hear that not guilty. And I would have killed. First thing I wanted to clean Germany up, put atomic bombing. This was my thing, and I could build one and fly one. This is what I would have done, really. Just put atomic bomb and clean them up. Should never been no Europe, really. I hate whole Europe. I hate the whole damn situation.
Makes a lot of sense, too.
Yeah. I still feel it like now.
Today?
I'm not talking, I never talked it, but I'm going in my mind. Even my work. And the worst thing you can call me is a goddamn Jew, and that I could kill him. And it takes so little to, it's just like you put a match on, gas on a match, This I was always to explore, but in a quiet way I could have killed, really. I just mention a Jew's name or a goddamn Jew, and this was really, I had it all in the war and before the war, and Polish and German and everything else. When I came to this country, I said, I don't want to hear about it. And really, when I hear about it, somebody mention it, and it just makes me really, I can kill. Really, it takes so little now to come up to kill somebody. Really, I can hit him.
Tell me your impression of the way they punished them for doing what they did to you.
What they done to me?
Yeah. The way, for instance, the war trials and things like that. Do you think the crimes were really punished?
No,
Appropriate.
no, absolutely not. They can. It's no. You cannot pay for that kind of crimes, except you, like I said, take an atomic bomb and clean them up, take them and just put one bomb in, and you take whole Germany. And I listen. As long as we live, we never forgive him, and I don't care what I say. I don't go forgive him. I don't know how anybody else feels about it. I definitely not. No way I go forgive him for any one of them for an inch, because they killed my family, my cousins, and my grandmother. My grandmother was 95 years old, never hurt anybody in their life, and they go away with a life like this. No way I forgive him. And people really say something about it's not true or anything, I can kill him. And I said, I wish that would be there and happen to them. But anybody went through, personally, plenty of times, I don't want to believe myself how I survived something like that can happen. There's no way can ever really, it was absolutely, I think about it day after day, night after night, and any time I wake up and I feel guilty. I didn't kill some of them, really. I really feel guilty, but I couldn't. I caught typhus, but I would definitely kill some of them, and I would have felt better. I would feel better all my life. I still feel guilty. I never could do anything about it.
You know, you talked about something that's very interesting. Some people, and there's two types of people in this group I'll mention to you. One would be kids.
That's right.
Who are young and they haven't heard or don't remember or just haven't been taught about what happened. And there's another group of people who are older and they just don't believe that it happened. This tape is going to be seen by some people like that. Take a few minutes and talk to them as you're talking to me.
Well,
prove to them that it happened. Tell them that it happened.
Like really, it's somebody like you lose your family, you lose your loved ones, and not losing to die, but to touch it, to kill him, and something like this. And people said they don't want to believe it. Is really absolutely disgraceful for God to just even mention it like that. And we went the worst for animals. Animal, they give a chance, or they kill him, they eat him, but they just killed us and gassed them and killed them and cut a head off or feet off and let him suffer and tell him you don't want to believe about it. It's absolutely disgraceful, simple as that. There's no words to say it. I don't know how to say it, really. It's a shame for the world to really. And little kids crying from the graves now, for years that they never go. Little kids, innocent, a year, 2-year-old, that took him to the gas chamber. We should never forgive him, and we're definitely not. We should never forgive him. I never personally. I don't. I look at my grandchildren and I give them anything in the world, and I said, ever happen something like that, I kill any one of them to touch my kids. And I love kids, really. People think I'm a phony, but they can understand me. And I see kids in the street, they're hungry. I go over there and definitely I give them something. Thank God, God was good to me to feed them or do anything for them. They can understand that. But it's true, my whole family don't understand me, because material things don't mean nothing to me. Life means so much to me. My kids, my family, my friends, it means a lot to me. My grandchildren, I treasure them, and I survived. All I wanted is a loaf of bread and a warm bed to sleep and die. And God gave me more of that, and really God gave me a lot more, I didn't have to die in concentration camp. Nobody where my bones are and where I'm going to lay or where my grave be, So anybody go even pray after me, and it's a great thing. It's really people when they don't understand that. I think they're just animals. They just don't care about human being. Simple as that.
Can't agree with you more.
Yeah.
Let's try something for a minute. Do you, sometimes when you think of certain things, there's a picture that comes to mind.
Mm-hmm.
And it obviously there are many pictures associated
Yeah,
with different
exactly.
things, but usually there's one that comes up more often than not. Is that true for you?
It's my yes. It's my sister, my little sister when they killed her, and I was helpless. This is the things I don't want to be ever helpless to kill somebody. And this way is my little sister when I saw her, she died in home. My family, what's happened, I don't know really. I know what's happened, and I saw films afterwards. What's happened? My cousin told me how my sisters died. This most of it lays me in my mind. And you know, sometimes I go to a farm, I look at the heifers, the cattle, and for every move I make, I remember for my family, you know, that my mother had a great family, you know, and very close. And I really loved my family when I was a kid. And I said I never go survive, and I know go have my father and mother, you know, and you cannot forgive nowhere something like that. Nowhere in the world I think about it day after day, but I never talk about it.
When you think about same thing, what picture comes to mind when you think of your mother and father?
Picture my mother and father really is I really can't tell you. I'm thinking about them, what they've done for me. You know, I cannot tell you what's happened to, you know, if they've done for me, and I couldn't do nothing about it. You know, they were so beautiful people, and I couldn't do nothing for them. And because I was young, I don't blame myself. Because I went out in camp, I couldn't kill some of them, really. This is what bothers me. This what really lays in my mind, is just to be a killer. Simple as that. And I'm not afraid to tell anybody I hate anybody, but this is what bothers me very much. I couldn't do nothing about it. But after the war, when I would not caught typhus the second day, I would know I would have killed some of them. Definitely.
Let's talk about something that's a little more positive. Let's talk about the day you found out that you were free. Where were you? What happened?
Okay, yeah, I was in Pucking. This is what in Lice Camp. I was free, and when I caught typhus, lays my lieutenant picked me up and took me to the hospital.
Right, I remember you telling me about that. Now, were you still a prisoner at that point?
No.
Okay, then let's go back. Let's go back to who liberated you?
The Americans.
The Americans,
Yeah.
okay. Do you remember the day that happened?
Right, May the
Let's talk
5th,
about- let's talk about that
1945. I never forget, I went out from the camp to Hungarian. The German Gestapo run away, and they left them at Hungarian. They couldn't speak any English or nothing. And I walked out from camp, and I was hiding in a German, on the attic. No food for about 2 days. This was about the 3rd of May. I saw what's happened. I said, I don't want to stay in the camp because they can shoot us or something. So I hide upstairs in the hay, and all of a sudden I see some tanks, different kind of tanks in different language, and I don't know whether it is English or Russian. Well, Russian I know, but it sure was not. And I walked out, and I passed out, and I saw a lieutenant pick me up and put me in a jeep and put me to the hospital. Right away, this is what's happened. And later, I went to the farm. Later, I stayed in the Neustadt hospital.
The minute you saw the tank, and you said at that point you probably realized it was
Right.
an American tank.
Right.
What went through your mind?
I went unconscious. I went right unconscious. And I was unconscious for about a day or two. And this was, I caught typhus.
So it wasn't joy, it wasn't relief.
It was not a relief or not joy, which is, afterwards I enjoyed much when I saw, and I worked for the Americans for 4 years. And I really had some really great times with them. They're really, absolutely, really the great people. They're really great. The Americans was coming in. They helped really a lot. Listen, they really were shocked themselves to see what was going on.
What, I mean, I know you were unconscious and then taken to a hospital,
Right.
but what would they have seen as they went through that camp that day? Because you were there, I mean, obviously.
Yeah, well, this was a little camp,
Mhm.
really, and there was about 500 of us, but there was nothing, see, but scarlets, people, they're hungry, dying, and no food, and they really see some rough stuff, really, from the camp over there, you know. Some of them weigh 50, 60 pounds, 55 pounds. But most of them caught typhus from them people, from the friends of mine.
Here's an interesting question.
Yeah.
This may shock some people. I personally have never seen anybody killed, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Except maybe on television in a car race
Mhm.
or
Mhm.
something like that. How many people, in your estimation, would you actually say you saw killed?
Well, when we march personally, I mean, I cannot say by the guess how much they gassed them. There's millions of them. But I saw, but when I walked on the march, they killed about 1,500 to 2,000.
And you saw that.
Oh, I saw it. Yeah, I saw plenty more in camp how they killed them. But about 2,000 to 3,000 people.
Do you still see that?
Well, I really, so many things. You see, most of them I think about my family, really. I really don't want to think too much, you know, about it. What?
I understand.
I don't want to think about it because you would not make it when you think all about that. You understand? You could never survive and think what you got to do. You have a family. You know, it's easy to give up in life. Believe me, the easiest thing is to give up. But I never gave up, and this is what it was. And I don't want to think about it too often. I want to really take a picture of my whole family. I think about my cousins, about my relatives. When it comes to holiday, it's a tough thing, you know. The worst thing is a holiday, you know, and you don't want to think about it.
Jump ahead a little bit.
No,
Right
no,
now,
go ahead,
Let's
go ahead.
go ahead. Let's talk about today.
Mhm.
What does the reunification mean to you? What do you think about that?
Well, to me, really, I don't like to see it. I don't like to see it, but even if it's happened, I'm not afraid of it, really. But never go when it's go happen something. Never go happen something like that. Whenever go happen like that, they go fight Russia or American or somebody, but they never go fight with the Jews, really. Only the Jews, you know. It never go happen just with they go fight with the whole world. Then, you know, we're lucky. I think a lot about Israel, you know, and I've been in Israel a couple of times, and we really got a great country over there. And, I've been over there, and I really think we're lucky. We was before like a dog don't have no house before the war. Now we really have a home. It's Israel, you know. God forbid something happen. They're gonna fight to the last one. I don't care what it is, but they know what survival is. And that's what I really.
Okay, that's a fair answer. Tell me what you think a survivor is.
A survive. What a survivor is, made out of iron, steel, no blood, really, absolutely no blood. Most of them, to be honest with you, most of them people left, and he killed the intellectual people. They're just plain tough little people left. They survived from a home. They never had it so good, really. They could survive, but the intellectual doctors, professors, no way they could survive. You understand? And so, just kids, they wanted to survive. They was young, they could take it. And this is why we really, a survivor is. Really, just not, no blood, but his metal iron sheep, I don't know what it is, but this is what they are, really. Tough, very tough. Anybody survived is a miracle or something unbelievable. I go in, I really walk myself like I am a robot, to be honest. This is where I feel, like a robot, not like a person. Jeez, how can I, when I think like that, I said, how could I ever survive this? I said, no way. I think about it. I said, how could I survive this and how I could survive that? But the march, how I survived. I carried two guys that were 6 feet tall. A couple of guys I used to know from my city. I said, please keep on walking, don't give up. And they passed out, and I picked them up. They weighed about 250 pounds, each one of them. But I had a good one, and they just couldn't make it. So this year, you don't have no blood. You have to be a robot or something. I really don't know myself. You cannot think about it even. I don't know. I don't believe how anybody can even say he's smart, but really a smart person couldn't survive. Had to be a dummy or something, really.
That's an interesting point. Okay. Tell him to wait 5 minutes. Okay. She's talking to me in my ear.
No, that's okay. That's okay.
Tell me, and I'm your audience, okay? I'm not just me, but I'm other people who might be seeing this. Why don't you tell me what we have to remember?
We got to remember, and it should not happen again. But we got to fight about it. It's not easy. We have anti-Semitism right now anywhere in the world because, I don't know, I don't know what they got on the Jews. Really, I cannot believe over and over anything ever happened in the country. The Jews are the first one to be the number one enemies in this. And Poland found out there's no Jews, they got no economy, they got nobody to think for them. Really, most of them people were jealous at the Jews. The Jews got money, the Jews got that, the Jews got that, but it's not true. The Jews don't have really think nothing. You got a couple of people got money, but most of them, really people have the money, the non-Jews. But the Jews are the first one to suffer for it. And anywhere you go, they don't see the clear picture for them. They're really low classic. I experience even now the thing every Jew got money, but it's wrong. It's really they got maybe to make a living. He worked hard. They worked 20 hours in a little grocery store. He saved nothing but stomach money, and they blame him because he got money. But anybody works in this country, is a great country, can survive. You don't want to work here, they got no survival, and they cannot understand that. They want to sit in home and have everything, and it's not that kind of world.
How can we keep something like the Holocaust from ever happening again?
I really, to be honest, it comes from the top, it comes from the top. It comes from the White House on to down to the really, I blame the government for everything when it's happened something like that. Because when they got it over there, when the same thing like a kid has it in home, you understand, that he does it. And the same thing in here. When the government said the Jews are bad, all you have to do that, the Jews foe or anything else, this is what starts. And when we have the right government, it's okay, but when you pick one of them, the wrong one, you see what can happen. All you have to do, people, the black people is wrong, or the white people is wrong, or the Jews foe, or anything, this what starts. And this why, but in this country you have a little less chance because everybody comes from a different world, really. You cannot say Polish people go home or the Jews go home because everybody comes from a different, we got from all the nations people in this country here, so it's a little different. But it comes back to the government, and I don't care what it is. And this is what's happening in the other countries. The government blame the Jews, and there you got problems. Maybe I'm wrong, but this way I feel.
If it's what you feel, then you're right.
That's right.
You can't be wrong on what you feel.
Oh, thank
Last question.
you. Right.
What can our children learn from what happened over there?
Well, it's such a tough world now. Kids, they're just, I don't know how to say it. There really, I think, is a better world or not. We still prejudice, every one of us, you understand? And I don't know if it's good or bad, but you understand? I really, personally, I really wanted a different world for my kids. I have no prejudice in this country, you know, and this country personally, this world we live in, and not to be prejudiced, to love the fellow, the next door neighbor, to love to show him what a Jew are, really what a Jew is, you know, the next door neighbor, but it's tough. I think it's tough. The first thing our kids, they didn't go through. You can tell them 100 times, but never went. And I don't want him to tell them to hate people, for there's no reason to hate American people. And I don't want to go through something anybody should hate anybody. It's just not to be prejudiced. And there's prejudice in every one person, and that's what it is. And it's not easy to get it out for them. And I don't know, I'm not so smart to know how to get it out.
Anything else, you guys? I thought it was the last question, but there's some other things that
It's
were very
okay.
interesting. You would put a lot of the blame on government. Let's talk about that for a minute. When you were, and especially towards the end, where Germany is losing the war, how did it make you feel to know that there were other countries getting closer and closer, yet they hadn't stopped what was going on, and the Germans were still exterminating Jews?
Well, what I read, what I see is the Americans fought, the Russians, to be honest with you, done a better job with Americans. Comes to, and I've been over there, I can talk for myself. I'm not a communist, well, I hate the communists, but they helped the Jews really to take them in. That did, you know, to Russia, but I know friends told me they were treated the same way as the Russians. You know, the only one country really took him in, and they didn't have no other border where to go, where to go. So, yeah.
I mean, do you think that other countries helped the way they really could have?
They couldn't. No, the little countries like Denmark, Norway, they helped as much as they could. But you had some Ukraine, the White Russians, they hated the Jews haters, and Polish people. The Czech people was not bad. But Americans, what I heard, so, you know, I go back to history a little bit, what I heard, what President Roosevelt done, and, you know, they shipped some boat Jews over here, and they send them back, and it was really, really not a good feeling about it. You know, what I heard and what I read about it, you know, is really, they cannot make it up and for it. I just can tell you, I got to be open about it. I really, not, what I say, I cannot hate no American, but I hate with President Roosevelt because he sent the people back. This is what I do.
This will be tough. Think about this. And take as long as you need to think about it. Give me one word that describes the Holocaust for you.
One word is absolutely disgraceful. for the world, for the human being. That Germany was a intelligent people there were, and let it happen is most disgusting, nauseated. I don't know what else to say. Most absolutely disgraceful for the human being to something like this should happen.
That's a fair answer. Okay, I've gotten an answer to everything I was looking for. How about you? Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was really good. I will. Okay, good. All right, and this is really the last question.
This is,
Is there any, well, I know. We're not
I got
gonna hurry.
time.
Is there anything that we didn't talk about that you feel like you'd like to talk about?
Well, I met some people in Israel from home, and what I tried to say, the little boy, this little friend of mine, I met his sister a few years ago, and I never told her, and this was a hard thing to tell her where I was with him and what's happened. I meet some people from home, and I go to Miami, and I meet some people I never saw for 40 years. They never recognized me, but they know who I am, my father. But I had a couple friends in Miami that live in Milwaukee, and I used to play soccer with them, and they couldn't believe it. I still survived. And I was a tough kid. I never was afraid of anything, really. And it's really makes you feel good. You go all over the world, and people really, I don't know how to say. I wanted to do something good for the world, but I don't know what to do to help people. This is my main thing I wanted to do, is help people. And I don't care who it is, really, but just to help them. I don't know if I say it, I don't know exactly, but this way I am.
What brought you here today?
Well, what brought
Other
me
than
here
being
today?
asked to do it. But I mean, what
No,
what
no.
brought you personally here?
Personally, I really didn't want to have, I never done it. You see, I don't like to be, a lot of people come in, I should get pictures made. One time they made a picture, I was working, when I worked in a newspaper, fella asked me for an interview. And to me, an interview, something like that, I wanted to keep my record and have it. This is what I did. But I never liked publicity, because I'm not looking for publicity. This is not for publicity. This is something I want to do for my family, know who I am and what I am and what was going on, and for my kids, they want to listen. And I tried to show them a film. They saw it 5 minutes and they run away from it. They cannot believe it. Maybe I don't tell them enough, but this is what brought me over here. But I don't like introduction, and I like no advertising. And this way I am. This way, to have my record on is fine. And maybe one day my grandchildren go see it, my kids will go see it, and simple as that.
We've covered everything.
Thank you.
We wanted to.
Good.
Terrific job.